Hello and welcome to Queen Mary Questions, the show that allows you, the students, to ask prominent figures in Queen Mary whatever you like.
Hi, I'm James Coughlan, founder of the Dental Mirror, and today we're here with Tom Longbottom, Vice President Bart in London, for Queen Mary's Questions. So we'll start off, Tom. We had a question in from a student who asked, do you consider yourself more as QMSU Vice President Bart in London or as BLSA President, and are the two roles the same, and if so, kind of how they linked?
Okay, this is always a fun one when I introduce myself in meetings. Which title do I use? Do I use both? I'd say I more commonly refer to myself as BLSA President because that's what most people know me as. But I think in the wider scope of the university, it's Vice President Bart to London, but they are the same role. I think it's just where you're at, what you call them. I guess BLSA is obviously a kind of an entity that exists within QMSU, so it doesn't really matter. I'm the president of BLSA, but I exist within QMSU as a vice president for Bart in London. So
another question that someone sent in was, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? So I wondered if you could walk us through a sort of week in the life of Tom Longbottom.
Crikey. Depends on the week. Varies really. It's really variable. I spend a lot of time usually cycling hurriedly between campuses. I have obviously meetings. I mean, I'm based mostly here in Whitechapel, or at least that's the plan. But I have a lot of, usually just under half my week, I have things over in Mile End, so that might be meetings with other people within QMSU, meetings in the Central University, so I sit on, kind of boards and committees within the university.
What kind of things do you do in those boards?
So it varies. So for example, there's the Estate Strategy Board, which I sit on, as well as some of the other SABs, which is kind of the central kind of the senior board that decides things around estates of the university. There's things like kind of a monthly update meeting we have with senior staff within the university. Various things really. So I do think a lot of things in Mile End, and then obviously here in Whitechapel I have a lot of meetings within SMD, so I attend. So for example, this morning I was in a medical assessment committee meeting in the medical school. I attend meetings in the dental school, so the dentistry SSLCs I've started attending this year. I might have meetings in Charterhouse Square around meetings around that campus. Meet with senior staff once a month. So yesterday I had my monthly meeting with Professor Steve Thornton, who's the Executive Dean of SMD, the Vice Principal of Health. Really varies. I mean, I've got a pretty free day tomorrow actually, which is quite rare, which is nice. I think the biggest challenge is fitting in all the emails and the to-do list amongst the busy days of meetings, but sometimes late nights, but you manage it.
Okay, so we'll move to the elections that are happening currently. Now, one of the issues that we had last year was that there was no competition and there was also no women running, which was a kind of recurring theme from previous years. And this year we have 3 people running, all of whom are women.
Yeah.
So what have you done anything this year to kind of promote that? Is there a reason why that is, or is it just?
I don't think I can take any credit. I think maybe I've done such a bad job, people just want me out. No, I don't know. I think it's. I mean, I'm thrilled. I'm really pleased. I think that I don't think necessarily agree that it should. I wouldn't want someone to get elected based on their gender.
No.
But I think it's fantastic. It's high time we had. A female candidate running, or at least one, which we've not had in several years. So I think it's great, and it's great to see it contested. I don't know if there's anything we've done this year. I don't think it is. I think sometimes you just get years where people are more involved, and that's just how it goes. I mean, one of the things I said when we started, I think just before the summer actually, we had our kind of initial kind of pre-summer board meeting with the BLSA board, and one of the things I said was start thinking about who's going to replace you, because I think that's important. Whatever your role is, when you're doing a role, you need to think about who you're going to hand over to, because there's no point doing all this work for a year and then it hands over to no one, or not the person or people you think should run. So yeah, I mean, for my role we've got 3 very well qualified people, so whoever wins will be fantastic, which I think is really exciting and quite a rare occurrence. So yeah, hopefully this will continue each year. We'll see.
You sort of touched on legacy a bit there. I think,
Yeah.
what have you been your highlights of the year, things that you'd like to be remembered by in your role?
I don't know. I think the most recent thing is getting street lights outside the garage building, which has been a big win. It's funny in this job because you do a lot of meetings and kind of discussion and lobbying and all the rest of it, and it's often quite rare to actually see the product of what you've been working towards. So it does sound silly, but working towards safety on this campus is something that's been going on for a while. So getting improvements in lighting, which we were able to push for through the Going for Gold project at the university, is a really big win.
Was that a difficult project?
It's not. It hasn't been, because we're lucky this year because we've got a really good senior team at the university who are really keen to listen to the student voice, and you know, something like safety you can't argue with, and it's something that there's been a real drive for, looking at our campus space and how we how we improve the campus space for students and staff. So something like that, it's been a really fortunate year to be able to push through things like that, which have often had a cost associated with them, so have been more difficult to get. But so that's something I've been really pleased with this year. The mentoring scheme, so something I wanted to start, I had in my manifesto, was to create a kind of BLSA mentoring scheme so obviously we do the mummies and daddies scheme, but I wanted to create a kind of additional scheme which if students needed further support kind of thing, we could provide that, and that's expanded. We have that for first years, we have it for clinical foundation students. We're bringing the dental mentoring scheme under this, and also we're introducing it for second years in Malta, and hopefully for final year students next year. So that's, I mean, it's quite kind of in its pilot stage, but that's something that hopefully again will grow. So a few things.
Okay. So you mentioned Malta. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Okay.
So they're just kind of entering their clinical years
Next year, yeah.
Next year. Kind of what challenges are they going to face going into that? Is that quite well prepared? Are there?
I mean, I hope so. I guess just to say about my involvement in Malta, I've obviously been out there a couple of times this year and attend meetings within the medical school around kind of the running of the Malta project, and yeah, it's certainly being well planned for by the staff team, and I think in terms of what we can do, this mentoring scheme is a good example of, so that the second years will become clinical third years next year, into clinical placements. And I think something we take for granted here is kind of the senior support we have, and even if that's just doing a sports club and chatting to someone who's in the year above who can give you advice on what placements you should choose. Doing something for the first time is always difficult, being the first cohort to do something. So as much as we can do to provide them with that kind of advice on what it's like to be on placement as a medical student, and I suspect it won't be too dissimilar in Malta than it is here. I think that's really important, but I suspect that's going to be a challenge, is how they, being the first year doing it, there will be issues like there were last year when they were the first cohort out there. It's not always going to be easy, but I think that certainly the team out there are really working hard to make sure it's as good an experience as possible, and I've got to say we've seen lots of improvements this year, which is really great.
Are you collaborating quite closely with, because obviously they have a representative here?
Yeah.
Kind of how are you working with them to kind of help them grow as an association, kind of in and of themselves? Yeah,
so we had the Gozo Society. So Sophie is the Gozo Society president for this year. So I speak with her a couple of times a month and just kind of catch up on how things are going. And just provide the support where it's needed. And like you said, they're still in their kind of infancy stage of setting up. They've done really well actually, and they've got different kind of sports clubs within the society, different activities. They do a choir, lots of different things, and it's really great. One of the things we've been trying to do is do a monthly update on our website, just to promote what they're doing, just to get students knowing about what they do out there. I think the important thing is just to make them feel part of the community, whether that's streaming society talks or something else they're working on so they can access that kind of thing, whether it's meeting with them when they're here, just knowing that they're part of the community here, even though they're out in Gozo, they're part of this community, and that they can access this community in whatever way possible. So yeah, I've been working quite closely with them and really kind of building that up, and I'm excited to see how it's, I think it's exciting they're starting clinical placements next year. I'm excited to see how that'll all go, really. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the logo. So obviously, when the new logo was put forward, there were quite a lot of people that were quite unhappy with it.
This is the Bart in London
the
logo.
new Bart in London logo, yeah. There were quite a lot of people that were quite unhappy with it. How is that going so far in your dialogue with QMSU?
Well, it's not QMSU, it's with QMUL.
QMUL.
So it's productive. So this was raised at our general committee meeting, our GCM in December, our kind of all student meeting. And students expressed their concern over the kind of rebranding of this logo and the kind of the loss of the kind of Bart in the London School of Medicine and Dentistry identity. Now I think that it's important that we try and work with Queen Mary as much as possible to create, a brand that makes us retain the identity of Bart in the London within the umbrella of Queen Mary. And it's important we retain that identity. I think that's what's important to students. And so myself and some of the other representatives have been meeting with some of the senior staff within the university to try and constructively look at where we can reach an agreement. We've tried to come up with some alternatives, again tried to compromise, tried to keep it constructive, and it's going in the right direction. And as I say, I think compromise is important, and I think that no one is denying the fact that Bart in the London is a part of Queen Mary. We're a faculty, we have been since 1995, and it's important that that's recognised. There are issues with how the branding is and how it's been perceived and externally and all that kind of thing. But it's important that if students and staff are unhappy with their brand and they don't feel proud of a particular brand that's being put forward, then as a representative of the students within SMD, it's my job to kind of make sure that's put across, and that's what I've been trying to do. Still in discussion, but hopefully it's getting there.
Okay. And just kind of to wrap up, have you got any kind of upcoming campaigns and events that you want to? It's your chance to promote.
Our big ones really. So we've got our association dinner on the 3rd of April, where we have lots of awards recognising achievements of students and staff and student groups over the past year, and we hold that at Bart's Great Hall. We've begun working on our kind of graduation events. We've got our graduation dinner on the 13th of July and Rites of Passage the 15th. So work's underway on those. There's lots of other things. We've got our Women's Week is in 2 weeks' time, first week of March. So Alice, our women's rep, is organising that. She's doing loads of things for that. And then we've got Mental Health Awareness Fortnight, the first 2 weeks of April. Rag Week is next week, obviously. Loads. And I'm really pleased actually this year of how well we've been able to coordinate all the different events and weeks we've been doing, and it's a real privilege to work with such a kind of hard-working, dedicated team of board members. We've got a board meeting shortly actually, and every month we do a kind of award for board member of the month, which is really nice because every month there's just someone or multiple people, I think this month actually, who just worked really hard, and so it's really great, and it makes my job easier as well. So yeah.
Brilliant, Tom. Thank you very much.
Thank you.